Joining the program now, the host of the Mina Kimes podcast featuring Lenny. Subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts. ESPN's NFL analyst, Mina Kimes on PHNX Cardinals. And Mina, you had a terrific breakdown, I thought, on your Instagram with regards to your thoughts on Jonathan Gannon's decision not to go for it on fourth down late against the Vikings in the red zone. Would you mind walking our audience through that thought process?
Yeah, it's the classic is there a benefit to going up six, right, scenario, which is something we've seen play out. It happens every season. It happens all the time. But yeah, so as you guys remember all too vividly, I thought they put together a great drive. The Cardinals, I love, by the way, Trey McBride on Outbreakers. I think I mentioned this in my post. Just unbelievable for a tight end, and great throws, I thought, from Kyler Murray, who I thought was really good in this game. We could talk about that. So they get to the goal line. I believe it was 4th and 4, right? And there's 3.5 minutes left. So plenty of time for notably both teams to get the ball. And he decides to kick the field goal. So they're up 3. So your decision there is either we go for it. And if you go for it and you can score it, the game's over, pretty much. Very unlikely. If you miss, you remain up 3. If you kick the chip in, you go up 6. The problem with the decision there is, let's say you miss, then you're up 3. So the Vikings are then they get the ball, and they know we got to score a touchdown to win the game. Sorry, let's live in the world of what actually happened here. So they were aware that they have to use all 4 downs, and the situation arises. They get to 4th and 7, which credit the Cardinals defense, who I thought was very good in this game, by the way. And they convert, they score the touchdown. So again, go back. Let's say that they had missed or not converted. The Vikings were at the 33-yard line. More likely than not, 4th and 7, they probably kicked the field goal there to tie the game. And then you tie game with some time left in the game, or you might even go to overtime. But because they incentivized them to win and gave them the information that they needed all 4 downs, you basically not only encouraged them to go and win the game, but in some ways made it easier for them to actually win the game in regulation. And I think this is not baked in enough when we talk about this particular scenario or 4th down decision scenarios generally. It's not just about what am I doing as a team? What's the position that I'm in? But it's also, what are you incentivizing the other team to do? I think Ganon explained after, well, we didn't want them to be able to tie with a field goal. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. But you also shouldn't have wanted them to try to win the game in regulation, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, you look at it as far as the win percentage. I think it was, you kick the field goal, you've got an 80% chance of winning. You go for it, you've got an 88% chance of winning. Is this, we just chalk it up as a tough lesson for the Cardinals head coach?
Yeah, he's great, man. The defense played so well in this game, and he's done such a good job with, I feel like, some talent limitations on that side of the ball. I do feel like, and maybe this is stereotyping, defensive coaches tend to have too much faith in their defense, because if I got a little bit of pushback on the post, it was people saying, well, they got them to 4th down, and yeah, sure. But the Vikings are a really good offense. I understand that they had done a really good job on them for most of the game, but you're talking about Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison out there. And I thought Sam Darnold, by the way, was absolutely dealing in the 4th quarter, which is, concerning. So the other thing is, your quarterback, I thought he played really well. And why not put the ball in his hands with a chance to win the game there at 4 yards? So I just didn't like that.
It felt like they had a conservative approach, though, the whole game. I mean, They opted to take field goals when they really could have been aggressive. Even before the half, they ran the clock down and kicked a field goal. They ran a draw play late in that game in Minnesota's side of the field and opted not to let Kyler Murray throw the ball. I think they thought they had a conservative effort to shut down Sam Darnold, and it inevitably bit them in the 4th quarter. They felt really confident about their defensive game plan, and to your point, we're overconfident at times.
Yeah. Again, this is you just see this a lot with defensive coaches. I feel like somebody did a study a few years ago about conservatism with head coaches in terms of, you talked about a few things, but I'm thinking specifically about game management, clock management, that kind of thing. And if I had to have a criticism of Gannon, it would be that. But So disappointing, right? Because I watched this game with a lot of interest, and I thought both teams played really well. I know that sounds so lame. I thought both quarterbacks played well. I thought Kyler Murray made some unbelievable throws in this one. It was just very winnable, and I think it sort of highlights, when you're looking at like the small differences that can lead to a win or a loss in a game between two pretty evenly matched opponents, it could be something like that.
Yeah, this is more of an open discussion as far as the Cardinals go. I mean, I remember our post game following the loss. It was the majority were go for it in that situation, 4th and 4, with a chance to put the game away. So, a little bit more open-minded Cardinals fans here as far as part of this community. We talk about, critiquing the coaching staff. How did you feel like the Cardinals offense operated throughout the game? We talk about them going maybe a little bit too conservative. We see another game uneven from Marvin Harrison Jr., 5 catches on 12 targets. He does have the touchdown. Just your overall assessment of the game that Drew Petzing called.
I thought it was good because the Vikings defense presents so many unique challenges with everything they do in terms of not just their pressure looks, which are insane. Although this was like, oh my God, I'm going to sound so old. What's that song that's always on TikTok? Match My Freak. Is that?
Yeah, sing it, Bo.
That's how I felt watching these two defensive play callers, because they were both so insane. I posted, it was like NGS does all the defensive groupings, and it's absolutely batshit, the defensive groupings at both sides. You guys know, watching the Cardinals defense, Rallis is his name, right? He rolls out wild shit. And it's been working lately, by the way. But Brian Flores, his most common defensive grouping in this game was 0 defensive linemen, all linebackers, just absolute chaos. So anyways, my point is, this is a very, very tricky defensive game plan. Again, I actually thought he did a pretty good job. Some of their man beaters I thought were pretty effective. Kyler Murray made some excellent throws in that regards. You're attacking, I talked about the outbreakers to Trey McBride. That is a weakness of this Vikings defense that he was correctly attacking. You want to be able to run the ball on them on early downs. They're tricky. It's a really, really difficult group. You have to consider competition when you're looking at offensive efficacy or lack thereof. I thought Kyler made a few mistakes. The intentional grounding comes to mind. But for the most part, I actually thought the offense looked pretty damn good. Harrison Jr. I thought was super up and down this one. Kyler kept giving him chances. There were a couple of plays where I thought, man, like, I don't understand why you're not winning here, because I've seen you win in these situations. But, I didn't come away from this feeling like the offense let them down, perhaps even if they didn't put up as many points as you'd like.
Let's stick on Marvin Harrison Jr. if we could, because I do think that there's been a lot of that this year, like up and down. Like, he has a breakout game, and then he goes maybe 2 or 3 week stretch where he's got 30 or 40 yards. I think we can safely say, like, this isn't a Jamar Chase type rookie season like I think a lot of us had hoped, right? And it's maybe more aligned with some of these other receivers, maybe like a CeeDee Lamb early on, where it's going to take some time. Like, what have you seen? What's your overall assessment? Because we've looked at it from kind of a 5,000-foot view of the aggressiveness just doesn't feel there with his routes at times. There's not a lot of yak ability. What have you seen with him? Yeah,
the yak ability, I thought, he was not Malik Neighbors. That wasn't going to be his game. So I'm not super let down in that regard. But I do feel like there are, I thought he would be more of a ball winner than he is. There were a couple points in this game I took note where I thought, man, go up and make the play, dude. Like, your quarterback trusts you. He keeps throwing you in man coverage, and he just didn't go up and make a play. And it's hard because it's not like, they're not easy catches necessarily that I'm singling out, but I thought that's something he would be truly special at instantly. And you are seeing him lose in some of those scenarios. And in terms of the aggressiveness of the routes, that's another thing that comes back sometimes on some of those comebacks. He was such a nuanced route runner in college that I'm a little bit surprised, although there are moments too where he looks like an absolute vet out there, and he is just cooking guys at the line of scrimmage. So it's just uneven is how I would put it. And I think perhaps my own expectations for his pro readiness, because he looked so pro ready in college, were a bit too lofty.
We had this debate after the game, because you talk about a guy who in his limited opportunities is making the most of them. We see in the Seattle game, Michael Wilson making a worldly over the shoulder catch. And then he continued that against Minnesota. He makes 2 really tough catches. He catches 5 balls on 7 targets. Like, is it time maybe for Kyler Murray to shift his focus to McBride and Wilson, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when you looked at this group of receivers, you thought Harrison Jr., this is perfect. Now you have like a true number one, and everybody slides into a 2 and 3 role. And Michael Wilson's a pretty damn good number 2 or 3. But Harrison Jr. hasn't rewarded that, to your point. Now, I will say, you still see defenses playing Harrison Jr. like he's the number one. So it's easy for us to say, well, Michael Wilson's out there. I mean, that catch was independent, obviously, of coverage, but it's easy for us to say, well, like he looks better than him. He's getting, for the most part, to my eye, better matchups. But perhaps target distribution needs to be reconsidered for sure. Because it hasn't played out exactly like I thought it would.
Let's look ahead to this weekend. Fun fact, Cardinals have never beaten Geno Smith since he's been the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. Not so fun. Seahawks are playing good football, although I do think that they are poised to be beaten this weekend, given some of the quality of wins. But again, I don't want to discredit what they've done, especially defensively. Like, how would you go about attacking Seattle and what McDonald is doing, given what the Cardinals have currently?
I thought that the last time, obviously it was recent, that these teams played, the Cardinals' rushing attack left some run opportunities on the table. Seahawks run defense has vastly improved over the last few weeks, but I don't think that they're as good as the numbers suggest. The Jets suck, so you can throw that one out there. And then the Niners were able to run the ball on them, but lost for some other reasons. I think that if I'm Drew Petzing, I lean really heavily into that and the play action passing attack, which is something that, the Seattle defense is definitely improved, especially making the changes that they have at linebacker, but there's still some vulnerability there. So I would, try to work the middle of the field, working off of the run game. Kyler Murray, too, as a designed runner, again, I think they can be tested in that regard. Just giving the linebackers a lot to look at is something that I would do. You're probably not going to, famous last words, but I don't see this being like a big Marvin Harrison Jr. type game. I think this is a game where you work that intermediate middle part of the field, which is something that Arizona is equipped to do.
How important is it, though, for Kyler Murray to have a signature performance as the team's their season's on the line?
Yeah, it's huge. The thing that's really jumped out to me over the last couple of weeks is going into that Seahawks game, Kyler Murray was the best quarterback in football under pressure statistically. I'm sure you guys knew that. And last 2 weeks, you have seen his numbers under pressure really dip off. Now, I think that the last 2 weeks, he has played some of the trickier defenses. And when I say he is probably unfair, it's the Cardinals offensive line too. You have seen really struggle to pick up some of the wacky, let's call it what it is, pressures that Seattle and Minnesota threw at them. Now, again, Minnesota is like Brian Flores is like a mad scientist, right? Yeah. So, but Seattle too, I mentioned this on my show, but like they had like so many unblocked pressures in that game against Arizona. Mafe alone, Mafe had like 7 on his own where he just wasn't blocked. They were killing them with sims and overloads. So some of it's on Kyler, but a lot of it too is on Petzing and this offensive line. They got to get that sorted out, because if I'm Mike McDonald, I'm throwing the kitchen sink at them again, given how much difficulty they've had in recent weeks.
How do you square up this NFC West race with 5 games left?
We just did a playoff preview on my show, and like I looked at the NFC West and I just threw my hands up. I think they're all, I think last time you guys asked me this and I probably was like, it's even, which is dumb, but I truly believe it's pretty even between, the Niners seem to be kind of zombieing to the end of the season here, but the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks, I believe any 3 of those teams can beat any 3 of them on any given Sunday. I really do. I think they're all uneven. I think they all have flaws. I think the improved play of the Seahawks defense is real. I really do. But it's really tricky. This game means a lot. I think I don't have the playoff implications in front of me, but I'm pretty sure whoever wins this game is going to be the favorite to win the NFC West. And then Seattle's got a difficult schedule remaining because they're playing the Packers and the Vikings after that, and then the Bears and the Rams. So this is must win for everybody involved. And I think whoever wins this is probably going to win the division.
We're all around a similar age. You're going to be Simpsonized come Monday Night Football. How big of an honor is that? I mean, I grew up watching Bart Simpson and Homer Simpson. I'm sure you did. I mean, that's got to be kind of surreal.
It's crazy. I think this is why I'm calling the game. I have a framed picture of my idol, Lisa Simpson, behind me. You can kind of see it there. It's up there. Yeah. My icon, but it's crazy. It's great. I've gotten a little preview of all of the content. The Simpsons team has made all this like custom content. It's so funny. I don't know if you guys know, but the Bengals are Bart's team and the Cowboys are Homer's team, and the jokes there just write themselves. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to try to work in probably an inappropriate amount of Simpsons jokes and references, and hopefully nobody's annoyed. I don't think you're annoyed, because if you're watching a Simpsons game, you're there to watch a Simpsons game, and it's on ESPN Plus. And the other thing is, it's Bengals Cowboys. Like, don't you just want to be entertained, right?
Yeah.
This isn't Simpsons. This isn't Cardinals Seahawks.
That's right. That's right. Where the real football is played. Right. Mina, thank you so much for joining us. Check her out. Check out the Mina Kimes podcast featuring Lenny. Safe travels this week en route to, is it in Cincinnati or in Dallas?
We're calling it from Bristol, wearing virtual reality headsets. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
See if Mr. Plow
makes the Matrix, Mina. We need you going forward. So
I'll be back. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. God, it's going to be an interesting game. I'll say that. I don't even know what I'm going to pick. So listen to my podcast to find out. I truly don't know.